Welcome back to another installment of this series, Where You Been, Izaak. Today I'm going to cover a lot of the places I have been in Oregon. I think a lot of people have the misconception that Oregon is like Portland, all green and lush, full of hipsters and progressive values. Half the state, or actually more like 2/3, would beg to disagree. It is very conservative and, surprisingly, deserty. I lived in Portland for 7 years. I was fortunate that I got there in 2012, 2013, and I got to experience the old Portland when it was still like really cool and you live there on a service industry job. I remember the first time I really explored the deserts of Oregon. I came down here, down Highway 97, and into Fort Rock. And here, right here, you descend down into the desert. And it's gorgeous. And here's Christmas Valley. And the first place I'll show you is Crack in the Ground. It's like 8 miles up this dirt road, but it is an otherworldly place. It is worth checking out if you're ever in the area. 20 miles east of Bend on US 20 is the Badlands, which is just another place I call home. I just get an amazing feeling there. And it's really surreal, and it smells like the desert. Another place I would recommend checking out while we're in this general area. About 40 miles west of Bend is Subtle Lake, where I spent the first season as a camp host. In the third American Outback book, Where the Fires Are, I call it Lake Discreet. I don't know why I was bothered trying to disguise the name. If you head east from Bend and Redmond, you come up to this little wide spot on the road called Service Creek, and they got a great restaurant there. I recommend you check it out. And all along this highway up here in 19207, it's BLM land, and you can find a bunch of places to disperse camp for free, no services, but it's worth checking out. It's beautiful, this whole area. And the John Day Fossil Beds National Monument, Sheep Rock. There are 3 John Day Fossil Beds monuments. Sheep Rock is the one I recommend the most. From the small town of Burns, I traveled down here, down to Burns Junctions, and here is the Oahe Byway. This is one of the most remote parts of the lower 48, and it's a beautiful drive. I do recommend, though, that you caravan with other people because it is extremely remote, and you have to make sure you have everything to change your tires. Because guess what happened to me when I drove that road? That's right, I got a flat in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone reception. If you're ever in Southern Oregon, you need to check out Crater Lake National Park. Crater Lake, the 3rd deepest lake in the world, if I remember correctly. It's a beautiful place. They'll take you out on a tour to an island. You can hike up to the top, and the views are incredible. If you travel south from Burns on Highway 205, you come to the little town of French Glen. And when I say little, I mean little. It's basically a hotel. The food is really good there, or at least it was in 2015. Just southeast of it, the driest place in Oregon, the Alvord Desert. Not all of Oregon is green and rainy. In the Alvord Desert, I don't remember, it gets like 5 inches of rain a year. It's crazy. But it's an amazing place. You should check it out. Here's Fields, too. They got a nice little restaurant there. They got some hotel rooms. I've never stayed there, but I've eaten there, and the food is really good. And lastly, in general, I have to mention the drive down the Oregon coast. It is if you're used to the built-up coast like on the East Coast or even in California, this one is a lot more wild. And there's all these kooky little towns to go through. So gotta check that out too. And lastly, please remember, if you're going to remote places, I recommend a paper atlas and paper maps because you will find in lots of places that you will not have signal. Until next time.